It's going.
Oh, yeah, nah, pretty good.
Thinking we should chuck a podcast. What do you reckon?
Oh, yeah, nah, I can. Come round, let's do a thing.
What's up, motherfuckers? Round 8. We're going to do this one about gratitude.
Gratitude and how good it is.
Yeah, which I think is super, super important, especially in current times such as this.
Yep.
It is really easy to start to take for granted basic things in your life from day to day.
Yep.
I spoke about this once on a podcast not that long ago. It's not available anymore, so probably something to touch back on. But one of the things that I've started doing on a daily basis is taking 10 minutes out of my day to stop and think about 3 things that I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
And they can be super, super basic, or they can be really elaborate things. It can be as basic as being like, you know, I'm thankful that I've got a roof over my head, that I've got clean drinking water, or that I've got an extra $5 so I can have my morning coffee.
Yeah.
And it's little things like that that when you stop for a moment and get grounded back, you know, away from all the chaos and the noise that's out there, to focus on those little things, to not take them for granted again. And then you can start to find joy in the little things every day.
Yep, I agree. So with this is something that I think a lot of people have started to realize this year in particular.
Yeah.
And because we've had a lot, I guess, taken away from us, that's why when we get these drip feeds back into our lives, we're just like, oh, how good is this? How good is this?
Yeah.
It's like, it was always there.
Yeah.
Why don't we always appreciate it? And for example, what I'm talking about is being able to go to the shops, being able to go to dinner, standing up at a club and dancing. I don't dance, but anyway, but like that's a thing at the moment. They've announced it today that I think it's like 40 people at a wedding can dance on a thing.
Yeah, I saw you're allowed to stand up to have a beer at the pub again, and everyone's losing their minds.
Exactly, and I think now that we've got those little things back, everyone's just like, how good is this?
Yeah,
like,
definitely. Because we're so blessed and so lucky in our day-to-day lives, and we have so much, you know, we've got stimulus all the time. We can go to the shops, the movies, to concerts, all those things, and all of a sudden when it's taken away from you, you go, I want my lolly back. So it has been really easy for us to lose sight of that, especially because we've got a constant feed every day, you know, not even from social media, but from, you know, text messages and all that kind of thing, of just constant attention all the time and distractions and things to do. And so when it's all taken away from you and everything's stripped bare again, when it starts to get drip fed back into your life, you really have an appreciation for it.
So I think what made me specifically get into what's the real word for it? Gratuity? I can't say the real
Gratuity.
word. Gratuity.
Yeah.
I was fucking way off. All right.
Being grateful might be easier for you.
Yeah, being grateful for things. I don't know. Sometimes I'm just grateful that you can correct me. But last year I had the biggest year of my life. Mm-hmm. And what I regret about doing the things that I was fortunate enough to do last year is not taking a time to take things in.
Yeah. And
I learnt that at the end of the year. And it was basically, it's like, I've had the biggest year, but I swear, like, how did it happen? Like, why have I not stopped it, just gone, how good is all this?
Yeah.
And not that I feel like last year I wasted. I feel like all I did was just not acknowledge things.
Yeah, yeah.
And this year, things being different, it's just, you start to appreciate the little things.
Yeah, definitely.
So it doesn't matter to me on how big of a spectrum is, like how big things can be, and you don't take a moment to appreciate them. It can be small things too. And it's learning how to just appreciate the little things in life, because you'll get the same amount of happiness from little things as opposed to big things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that there's, I can't remember what the exact figure is, but they've actually done studies on this with people, that it's like when you earn a certain amount. Have you heard about this? Once you get to a certain point for income, your happiness doesn't increase beyond that.
No.
Which is really interesting. So even though there's people out there that can afford, you know, super yachts and Ferraris and Rolls Royces and whatever, it's like once you get to a certain income, happiness doesn't increase exponentially after that anyway, you know? But another funny point, and I only just realized this when you were talking, is at the end of last year, everybody was just like, fuck 2019. This has been the worst year ever. Can't wait for 2020. It's going to be lit. Like, 2020 is going to be our year.
No.
And look at how many people now have gone, wow, I took last year for granted.
Yeah. So, going back to what you were just saying about the money thing and how people like aren't as happy, like they hit a certain amount of growth and they get, is it dopamine that they need to just do the next thing, otherwise they're not happy.
Yeah.
So they did these studies, and I wish I should have come prepared for this because I did hear this recently. It was a doctor who actually did the studies on this, and Dr. Dennis Happiness is his name. Anyway,
we always come so prepared for these.
But what it was, they did statistics on someone who is wealthy and has all the things in life about his happiness level, as opposed to someone who was in a wheelchair learning to walk again. And the person who learnt to walk again, their happiness levels exceeded the rich person like dramatically.
Yes.
Because that person just couldn't believe that they were able to walk again because they appreciated just something that we all take for granted.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's something that's happened this year is just, like I said at the start, those little things that I've just started to appreciate way more than I didn't think I really needed to appreciate.
Oh, definitely. And I've gone through my whole life being like that up until now. I'm 30 now. No, I'm 31 now. And this has only been a recent realization for me. And I wish I could go back in time and teach that to myself earlier because there's so many missed opportunities, so much misery that I went through because I couldn't see the forest for the trees, And for instance, one of the big things for me has been, so last night I earned my first stripe at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Now, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for years.
Yeah.
But never consistently, and I've never given it like the respect and the time that it deserves. And that's in between, my physical and mental health. I moved away for a long time, then I moved back and just never committing to it. And always feeling down about like, oh, I'm not a blue belt yet. I'm not there yet. All that kind of thing. And to now where I've really started committing to it, the weeks that I'm home from work, I go 3 or 4 times a week, as much as I can basically, and get time in there. And instead of being like, that's where I need to be, I'm grateful for the journey now. Yeah. I'm grateful that I'm learning and that I'm being challenged. And then getting that stripe last night, like to blue belts and purple belts, they'd probably be like, whatever, man. Like, I mean, a lot of them have been me before, so they would understand it, but maybe some of them have forgotten. But I'm grateful that other people have seen the effort that I've put in and they're acknowledging it, and I'm being rewarded for that,
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's encouragement to keep going back and do what I've been doing. So, and again, whereas like the old me would have just been like, well, I'm terrible at this. Like I suck at it. I'm no good. I don't get it as naturally as this guy does. Yeah. Because that's the case. Like since I've been doing it, and even in the last couple of months where I've really committed, there's been people who have come in and just been absolute weapons, and you just look at them and you get so jealous of the natural ability and whatnot. But yeah, I'm grateful to be able to learn. And
you're stoked. And once again, you were drip fed something that's put you onto the next thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, when I play like sporting games on PlayStation or something, I shouldn't do it, but I do it because I'm lazy. I go to rookie mode. I'm like, I'm not playing this game if I'm going to lose.
Yeah.
I'm playing this if I'm going to win.
Yep.
So, I think, just something that's like, when it's real life things, like that is awesome that you've put in, there's no cheating. You just went for it and you earned the strike.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the cool things about jiu-jitsu is that there's no way to fake it.
Yeah.
Like
there isn't.
There literally is not.
No.
Because you can walk in there wearing a blue belt that you bought online, but they're going to find out straight away how good you are, Oh,
that's so true.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's just like one personal example of what I'm grateful for at the moment. And like I was saying before, those 3 things every day. So today, my 3 things were, 1, that I got my stripe last night. And just purely the fact that I'm healthy and able to practice jiu-jitsu. Like, you know, there's still gyms down south and overseas that aren't open and haven't been for months. And, you know, all those guys don't get to practice anymore and see their friends. And so I'm grateful for that. And then this morning, it was just a beautiful spring day. And we got up, had coffee, had breakfast, went down the beach and just laid in the sun for hours.
How good.
You know, it was just... And it's just such little things, and it made me so happy. And just sitting there acknowledging that, you know, and putting that out in the universe as well, because it comes back in these things of, you know, what you put out, you get back. And so when you start to have that gratitude and that positivity, you start to realize all the opportunities that are there for you that always have been there. But when you're in a different mind space, you don't recognize them. Whereas when you become positive, when you become grateful and you're not taking things for granted, you realize these doors that are opening and you might take risks that you never did before.
I think when people started losing their jobs, like, or got stood down in coronavirus, I was already in this mindset of just being how good at some things. And one of those things was I was able to still work through it.
Yes.
And I was just like, I'm so lucky right now that I'm still working. Like, it was just... And I see people that were complaining that they had to work still. I was like, you're kidding me. Not that I want to get in the way.
No, honestly, I was one of these people because... you know, my job's no harder than anybody else's, but it has its challenges. And so you do get like that, like, I don't want to go to work today. Like, this is bullshit, rah, rah. But with this gratitude practice, I stop and go, I've got a good paying job. It allows me to live a lifestyle where I can still do things like this with you. And it's during a time where a lot of people have lost their jobs, their businesses, their livelihoods. So it sort of got me to check my own privilege. So it was twofold. It was like, I'm grateful for my job and this money and the ability to do this and be a provider. And then it also got, me to check my privilege, thinking about like how many people would kill to have my job. You know?
It's crazy. So, like people that are struggling at the moment, like I genuinely feel sorry for them. I was like, 100%. You straight up don't deserve this. You didn't cause this.
Literally. It's like people have lost their jobs and businesses through no fault of their own. And that's probably the hardest thing to cope with. Because if you were running a business and it failed, you could probably look at things along the way and go, well, this is where I went wrong, and so I can correct that in the future. But there's no answer to this. You didn't do anything wrong.
But like... we go back to the drip fed thing. One thing, for example, and we do speak about quite often, is our friends that own HIT. When the pandemic started, they had to shut down. That actually hurt me. Like, I was just like, I hate seeing our friends and family so sad right now about this. Like, while we're still working, it's just like, it hasn't really affected us financially, but it's just, I want to help somehow, but these things are bigger than us. But now that restrictions get lifted and we get the drip fed thing where we're allowed to go back to the gym, I'm just like, the whole support system of wanting to help, it's just like, I'm straight back at that gym. We need to help, and we need to get them stoked again that things are happening.
Yes,
definitely. It's all happening. So it's good that things are starting to lift. I did a post today. There's one thing that I still miss. I cannot wait to hear it again. And that is, we used to hate it. But once again, we should be thankful for these things when they happen again, is our sound check of a drum kit. I cannot wait. I was like, when you're walking down, like when there's a festival and you're walking down the street and you just hear in the distance a kick, just... And I'm just like, I can't wait to hear that again. Like, I really can't. Just so, that'll be the next thing that I miss, that I'll appreciate way more when it's back. Live music.
I've been kind of a jaded, bitter old man about that. Like, ever since Hand of Mercy stopped and then I hadn't done live music, it took me a lot to go back. And even then, the only live music I went and saw was like stuff totally out of the realm for a while. Like I went and saw Beyonce and Pharrell and that kind of gear. And even still, the only heavy music I went and saw was Parkway and Every Time I Die.
Yeah. But still, like, we got to a point, and I spoke about this with like Dan and Josh on my podcast, is that after a while it just becomes a lot. You feel like you're going to work and sadly you get turned off it. But then now that this has happened, it's just like, oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know what I had until it's got taken away.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, but now this is something that I'm thankful for. Like, COVID sucks in a lot of ways, but at the same time, let's start seeing the positives about what is happening with this.
Yeah, and I think, like we've mentioned, we feel a lot of sympathy for all the people that have lost jobs, businesses, etc. And I think while that is super tough, really, really tough, and I feel awful that people are in that position. I think the gratitude practice is one small thing that those people can implement in their day to be like, well, I've got my health, I've got my friends, I've got my family, I've got a little bit of government benefit coming in, whatever it may be. Like, you've got to hold on to those small things and practice that gratitude. And that's what's going to get us through these times, because it will get better.
Oh, sure.
This is not the first pandemic that has ever happened. There's been cholera, polio, the Spanish flu, the bubonic plague. The only difference is that
this is
with
modern,
this, it's modern, and we've created the pathways that it's traveled through, because our international travel was so prolific. We've gone to continents we've never gone to before, like crazy places off the map, and it's been so easy to get there in such large numbers, and that's why it's been interesting to see how something like this will spread, something biological. But it is a modern take on these pandemics, and that's why it's been so difficult to control and deal with.
Yeah.
We haven't had anything in recent times that's traveled like this. So it is an interesting learning curve, but that's the important thing to remember, is that it is going to get better. There's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
We're all going to get through this. We've just got to weather the storm. And so clinging on to those little daily things every day and having that gratitude practice, I think, is just absolutely massive, and will help those people who are hurting right now.
It is. I don't know. Do you think that we're on the out now, or you just don't know? Like, I remember at the start, like back in June, it's just like, where is this going?
Yeah.
I feel like there is paths now trying to become the norm, so things are back to normal. Well, we're getting used to it.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I mean, everybody started to live life with it, and Australia's fared a lot better than a lot of other countries.
Yeah.
And Queensland in particular has fared amazing compared to...
Well, that could be the thing, is because we're so lucky to be in Queensland, maybe that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I guess it'd be a different story if I was in Melbourne, because my brother's in Melbourne and he does struggle with this.
Yeah.
He is trapped, like he feels trapped, but I'm not sure if he's actually... I've tried to speak to him on a few occasions to say, like, are you getting out? And like, what are you doing? Like, he's started doing a lot of drawing, and he wanted to do his own like design business now.
Yeah.
So I'm hyping him up. I'm like, this is sick.
Yeah.
Like, it is good. It's great what he's doing, but that's me giving him support to show that this will help you get through it.
Yeah, definitely.
This is awesome.
Yeah. And I don't want to talk out of turn, because, we aren't experiencing what those guys are going through down there. Like, I try and stay in contact with our friend Dimitri, who's down there at the moment, who's obviously like in the band with me, Washed Away. And, he has amazing days. He has bad days. And we didn't get locked down to that extent. So I really can't comprehend what they're going through. But I know that him being very intelligent and creative type, he can throw himself into, photography, into writing music, etc. But it gets to a point where there's only so much of that you can do. So it is positive that they're starting to get more freedoms again. Like,
sure.
Some people are able to go to work so many times a week. They're able to get out and exercise and etc. And hopefully with the warmer weather coming through towards Christmas time, things are going to lift. It looks like the Victorian government have done the right thing, and they're starting to get good positive progress now. So, but it's hard to predict, how this is going to pan out. But
I think there will be still that natural gratitude that will, like, everyone will see once, because we got drip fed the things, and we're just like, yeah, how good's this? In Melbourne, they're starting to get it.
Yeah.
And they'll just be like, how good is this? Like, we get to do this and that. And
Yeah,
but
definitely.
like I said, the second I hear a drum kit mic'd up, I'm like, how good is this? I don't care.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the drummer can be shit. I don't care. I'm like, this is great. This is great. So, yeah.
Well, so what's 3 things you're grateful for today?
For today, okay, there's my dog for a start. I'm
that's a good
always
start.
I'm always grateful, Winston, because no matter what mood I'm in, he brings me happiness.
Yeah.
He's just always there. He's just looking at me. He wants to play with me. It's great. So anyone who has a dog, you should agree.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for my dog. I'm grateful now to Neil. I'm always grateful for it. Neil had a shit house day at work, I think.
Yeah.
She came home very stressed, but she's still working quite as soon as she gets home. But she made the time to come in here and help me out with Shred Life for a bit.
Oh, nice.
And I was just like, this, like, because
That's awesome.
The whole emailing side of things, I'm not like I sound. When you rocked up, I was saying about how I had to organise some models. For, the next Shred Life shoot. I'm like, how do I need to sound professional with this, because when I'm by myself, I am scared that I just sound like a dude. And by that, I mean like, hey, I need some people to do some things. But Tennille is very good at that, and that's why I'm always grateful to have her like with me to do this.
Yeah.
The third thing, okay, I am grateful that today I went and got to go sign up. I did my evaluation at HIT.
Yep.
So I'm about to start a challenge tomorrow. I'm grateful today that they are back up and running.
Yep.
And I'm about to start a challenge.
Yeah, you've got a new journey and a new goal to go for. That's awesome.
3 things that I was just like, yep, these things are sick.
Well, another one for me is I saw 8 golden retrievers today.
Oh, yeah, that's bloody good.
So it was a sick day.
8 golden retrievers. Actually, there's a page on Facebook Tennille and I signed up to. It's called Weekend Westies. And they're a group of Westies that go hang out every weekend. We've always been
Westies being West Highland Terriers, which is the dog you have.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And I'm like, we need to go to one of these and just let Winnie loose and little Westies just like be free with your current. So yeah, that's one thing that I would love to see, just heaps of Westies together.
That'd be rad. Actually, there's a massive gathering in Scotland of golden retrievers.
Yeah.
Because that's where they were originally bred. And like there'll just be like hundreds of them in a field. So that's a bucket list for me. When international travel happens, I'm going to that meetup. It's gonna pat some dogs.
You'd definitely be like, people would be like, how can you tell which dog's who? It's like, you can tell.
It also doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. It's only, you might go home with 2. And that's all good.
One thing with this gratitude, like that gratitude practice of taking the time to have 3 things every day. So in that previous podcast, which unfortunately isn't available anymore, what I did say was this is a really good thing as a relationship strengthening. Strengthening.
Yeah, strengthening. I'll help you on that one, mate.
It's sick when I'm able to talk. So it's really good for couples to be able to sit down together and do that. So go like, what are you grateful for today? And have that with each other. And what I did say was, if you're one of those people where like your love language is words of affirmation, don't rely on your partner to say you as one of those 3 things every time. So if you need to, sit down and go, all right, look, I'm always grateful for you and our relationship. But today, my 3 things are, that I got to go for a run today, or, I got to see my mate today, or, we've got tickets to the footy, we're going to the pub, whatever your things are, whether they're big, massive goals, whether they're tiny, everyday things.
But just 3 things, really.
Yeah, do it as a couple, practice that, but also don't expect one of those 3 things to be your partner every single time.
Yeah, do you need to change them every day? Like, if you can.
Yeah, try and be creative with it. I mean, if it's the same thing a couple of times in a row that you are genuinely grateful for, then acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Celebrate that. But try and be creative. Try think outside the box.
Well, I guess what I've mentioned with my 3 things is you say the thing, but you say why.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
so,
elaborate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like I said, with Tennille coming home and being able to help me straight away was something that I needed help with. That's what I was grateful for. I wasn't grateful for just Tennille. I was grateful that she was able to help me do that.
Yeah.
And then with Winston, it's just like, he's my dog. But no matter what mood I'm in, I'm happy when he's with me.
Yeah. Another thing for me is I've been really grateful for this podcast, because before we started doing this, I had another business venture going that didn't really work out, and I was quite upset about that. And then, we had the idea to do this, and there's been so many positives out of it. Like, we get to spend more time together again, not just as friends, but we're creating something together again.
I love that.
The response has been so good as well, and just so many gifts from it.
Yeah.
So it's another thing that I'm really grateful for.
Same here, brother. Same here. Oh,
I think that's a pretty good note to wrap up on.
Let's wrap that up.
I'm grateful for the people who listen, watch, and tell us positive and nice things about this too.
And we bring him up every episode. And I think we're going to bring him up again. This morning we got a text message from Ryan just saying that he re-listened to the whole series. I'm just like, how good. I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
And
Winston's grateful for neighbours.
Yep, he's blowing a full-time hooter.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Catch you on the next one.